Just wanted to make a couple of corrections in my first video of the Sportster there. The 1983 wasn't the last year of the iron head, or the shovel head. 1984 was the last full production year, and in 1985 they started to introduce the Evo engine in the Sportster. The other thing is too, with the, I was talking about the generator here, where they changed it every year. The location has always been the same. They just changed. They had a lot of problems with the generator in the previous Sportsters, and then eventually when they got to the Evo Evolution engine, they changed it to an alternator. A generator produces voltage in DC voltage, and an alternator is alternating current voltage converted to DC. That's the difference. But the oil filter, the spin-on oil filter, that did change. They tried that, putting that all over the bike in different years. That's one of the changes they did. This bike in 1983 was their best-selling Sportster, the XLX. It sold more, I think they sold 5,000 that year, which sold more than all the other Sportsters. They made an XLR, and it had the two carbs coming out the side. It was 1,000 cc's. It was like a flat tracker style, and we had one at the shop here in Sarnia, and just couldn't sell it. I had it for years and years, so we drove it. Me and a couple of the other mechanics there. We already had gas and had it all fired up and PDI'd ready to go, and nobody bought it. So what we had to do was fire it up and run it every once in a while, or take it for a little spin, because it was all fueled up and oiled, ready to go. And that bike sat around. He never did sell it. It ended up sitting in the hockey arena up in the rafters in the bar. And then somebody came along and bought it. So this bike was $3,995 when it came out, and it was a real cheap price. Just a plain Jane Sportster this thing was, only the single gauge on it. And the XLR was double the price. It was close to $7,000. So nobody bought it. It was pretty expensive. But it was a real cool bike. It was a metal flake silver. And like I said, they changed the heads and had both carbs coming out the side. It was really cool looking. And a fast Sportster too. Yeah, I think that was the couple of the corrections I wanted to make there. Well, and this was the last year for the dual front brakes on the Sportster though. So that was something new. Yeah, that's it for now. The next thing, I'm not even sure if this thing's seized up or not. I doubt it. It was garage kept. So I'm going to see if I can turn the engine over, pull the plugs out, and no more. They took the kickstart off the early 80s Sportster and moved the slave cylinder down here. It used to be tucking back in behind the frame, and then you had the kickstarter here, so they were able to move it out and down. Yeah, so that's the next thing. Let's see if we got compression. And yeah, the starter motor changed too every year. They're trying different types of starter motors and setups with that, and they had a lot of problems with that as well too. Okay, next step, let's see if we got some compression in here. Pretty sooted up there. Gonna need some new plugs. don't know when this engine was last turned over, but it, you know, it looks like it's, I can see the plug holes are wet. So maybe somebody stored it with some oil in it or not, but I'm going to put a little shot of penetrating oil in there. Just to make sure, you know, if it is seized a little bit and I break it loose, that it's got a little bit of lubrication in there. I'm pretty sure it's not seized up, so. Okay, next step, let's turn it over. Okay, I've shifted it into fourth gear. I put it in the highest gear, and then I'm going to turn the back wheel, make sure it's engine's free. Yeah, you can hear it. It's turning over good. So the next step I could do is I could put a compression gauge in here and hook up a battery. I got a car battery over there. Crank it over and just check the compression. Make sure that's good. So I think I'll do that next. Okay, got the battery hooked up. Lights are working. This is pretty precarious here. I'm gonna wrap a rag around that. Touch ground. Turns over good. I'll put my compression gauge in there. It's like 150. It's good. Not quite as good. It was around 135. And it's leaking down a little bit. But always the back cylinders. The back cylinders run hotter and they burn the valves. The exhaust valve specifically. But it's enough to get it running. We'll get it running and warmed up, and we'll do a compression check again when I'm all done. The push rods might need to be set again, but you don't want to set them if the valves are all carboned up. You want to give it a good run, get it hot, let it cool down, and then check them. But I think we'll be able to get this bike running.